Okay, what is going on, everybody? Today we have a different type of video we're gonna do. We're gonna make our predictions for the NHL playoffs, round one. We're also gonna be making our bracket today, so things are gonna look a little bit different and probably run a bit different and probably go a bit longer than usual. To start things out, I still have our last day of the season's recap. On the season finale on NHL. We're not going to go over that too much today, but I did just want to bring up the fact that we went 4 for 7. Um, very good to end the season, and there's so much that is about to go down on Saturday, and we're going to talk about all of it. Okay, that's what that said. Now, first up, our first game of the playoffs. I actually don't know which games are on tomorrow. I have no idea. I just know that they start tomorrow, Saturday. It is currently 2:37 a.m. on Friday morning. But our first game we're going to talk about is the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Yes, the Jets are the President Trophy winners, finishing the regular season with the most wins, but we all know what usually happens to the team that is crowned the presidents come playoffs, and their opponents could be just the team to upset the juggernauts of the Winnipeg Jets. That team is your St. Louis Blues. Since replacing Drew Bannister with Jim Montgomery, the Blues went from tanking to possibly fighting for a wild card spot until the Four Nations tournament when their netminer, Jordan Binnington, ultimately stood on his head in the final game for Canada, winning gold over the U.S. in phenomenal fashion. Hello, Kitty. Um, what else we got here? I may add, and after that, the Blues were able to stay in the fight for the wildcard spot until they clinched it, setting a new franchise record along the way to a 12-game win streak, going 19-4-3, coming off the Four Nations tournament. Wow. Blues also found a diamond in the rough in Cam Fowler, who put up 36 points, 51 games for them. That's a lot better than the 4 points in 17 games he had with the Ducks. Now, on the other hand, you have your Winnipeg Jets that won the Central Division and the President's Trophy for the first time in franchise history. They set a ton of records along the way for points, wins, road wins, comeback victories, and Connor Hellebuck led the NHL with 47 wins and 8 shutouts in net. That is crazy. And that Winnipeg whiteout is scary. It's scary. You don't want to get caught in that, boys. If Bennington is on his game and so is Hellebuck, I think we're in for one hell of a series here, folks. All I can say for certain is this one's going 7. I think I'm still going to take Winnipeg on this one. I do feel like it's going to go 7, but the whiteout is just going to be too much for the St. Louis Blues. But still, don't count them out. I could be wrong. There could be a total upset. But we are taking the Winnipeg Jets at in 7 over the St. Louis Blues. Next, we have the Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche. If this was the same Colorado team that started the season, I'd tell you there's not a chance they're beating this Dallas team. But since opening night, the Avs have seriously shaken things up by removing 8 players off that opening night roster, acquiring a new goaltending tandem in Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood. And after the Avs traded away Rantanen for Neckes and Dury, the team started to roll, baby. I'm just reading. I'm sorry. I got a lot to go off of here. I've just got to read my notes, okay? Sorry if my eye contact's not great today. It's nothing personal, okay? Look into my eyes, baby. Um, where was I? Ranted for they start rolling. They really did. The Avs continue to make moves, acquiring the likes of Ryan Lindgren, Jimmy Vesey, and of course Brock Nelson. Mikko Rantanen, facing his former team, Colorado, traded Rantanen earlier in the season to Carolina, who's now traded him to Dallas, and I don't think that was in Colorado's playbook. I wish this game we could have gotten the third round instead. I'd love to see both these teams make a deep playoff run, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Here's what I think. Everyone's counting Dallas out the way they played in their last final stretch, but me personally, I think the boys are going to be ready to go game one in, and I think Ottinger is going to be playoff activated. But no Miro already, and now no Jason Robertson for Dallas. This is why you don't play your guys at the end of the season. The Leafs did it too. I don't know why you do that. This is what happens. This happened on Friday. Jason Robertson could be out for like the whole first round. Who knows? Could be long. Could be, I don't know. that really put a nail in the coffin for me. I'm taking the Avs in 7. I just don't see them getting it done without two key pieces like that. If they had both those guys, I might be saying something else, but Avs in 7. Moving on, we have the Knights and the Minnesota Wild. I think everyone and their grandma knows that Vegas is probably going to steamroll the Wild, even with Kaprizov back. I just think Vegas is so much more of a complete team. I do think Minnie does sneak a couple wins in here, though, but ultimately loses in Game 6. We are taking the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games against the Minnesota Wild. Next, we have the Kings versus the Oilers. I think McDavid is going to be on a mission. He goes to sleep every single night and dreams about blowing the greatest comeback in what could have been sports history. I think the Oilers are going to be deadly now that they're all rested up, and these boys are not to be played with. Ekholm did just get hurt, though. That really sucks for the Oilers. Like, that almost made me change my mind on this series, but I'm not going to. We are going to. We're gonna take. We're gonna take. We're gonna take the Edmonton Oilers in Game 7. I know this honestly could go either way. A lot of people have LA, and I don't blame them. LA has been one of the best, if not the best home team. I don't think the best, but one of the best home teams this season. It's just, dude, this is like the Leafs versus Boston. Okay, LA has lost the last 3 years in a row to the Oilers in the first round, and I just honestly could see it happening again. We are rolling with the Oilers on this one. Next, we have the Caps versus the Montreal Canadiens. Here we have a young, gritty, and I hate to say it, but fun Montreal team. This reminds me of another young team back in 2017 that played the Caps in the first round and brought them to 6 games. Washington did beat my Leafs that year and also won the Cup. That reminds me a lot of the Leafs that year. I think the inexperience on the team will cost them a lot, like it did in 2017. I'm not talking about the Leafs. I'm talking about. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Habs were like the Leafs in 2017 right now. That's what I'm trying to say here. Caps in 6. Moving on. Oh, sorry. Let's add it to our. We gotta add that here. Sorry. Moving on, we have the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New Jersey Devils. Both teams really struggled at the end of the stretch of the season here, but the Devils missing Jack Hughes for the playoffs is just a horrible thing for them. They'll really have to come together to take down the Canes. I could see an upset here because the Canes are an iffy team. I could see them totally just flopping here, but not this year. We're taking the Canes in 6 games. 6 games. And now this next one, makes me sick thinking about it, is the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Ottawa Senators. Now, I'm going to say it right now. I think the Leafs are going to win this series, and I'm not saying it because they got the Sens. I actually think they'd have an easier time with the Tampa Bay Lightning than the Ottawa Senators. But the Leafs have always struggled to show up when it mattered the most, whether it's Game 7 or the regular season. But this year they did something I've never seen them do because it hasn't happened in 25 years. I am 25 years old. So when they last did this, I was just born. I probably wasn't even born yet. I wasn't born yet. I wasn't born yet. I was like 2 months away. My debut didn't happen for 2 more months. And that is them winning the Atlantic Division. Took them a lot of games that I counted them out on, and they actually won them. They went out at the deadline and acquired pieces they actually need for once in Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton. Their defensive core is actually respectable now after adding Carlo and Tanev at the beginning of the season, not to mention an absolute stud in Matthew Nyes. This kid is built for big-time moments, and I'm excited to see what this kid does. And last but not least, they have a goaltending tandem that is actually lights out. And if these two can stay healthy, I think they will carry the Leafs through some big games this year. I've been saying it for a while that Ottawa is coming, and then Boston gave them Allmark for free. They've been real good this year, but I think the Leafs will be able to outwork this young team. Leafs in 6. That was a lot. Okay. Our final matchup in the first round is the Battle of Florida. Your Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. I think this is going to be a crazy series. Matthew Tkachuk could be ready for game one. I don't know if he'll even be at 100% when he's playing. If we get that playoff Tkachuk, this could be a totally different series than what I'm about to say. And Ekblad will miss the first two games of the series due to like a suspension. I thought he was just hurt. I didn't know he was. I don't know. That confused me. Anyways, I think Kachuk will probably be not going to be at 100%. Ekblad missing the first two games could lead to Florida not being able to string together enough wins against a hungry Tampa Bay team. A Tampa Bay team that has got their shit together right now with Kucherov leading the way and Vasi being an absolute beauty this season. I think the Lightning will be the ones to advance. I think shocking the defending champs 4-1. I think all the games will be extremely close, but Florida just not going to be able to capitalize when it matters most. We are taking the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games. Watch them get swept now that I said that. But those are your games for the first round. Moving on to the second round, we now have the Jets versus the Avs. This would be such a close series. This would be a banger of a series too. But I think the Jets would almost be too much to handle for these guys, and the Avs would get taken down in 7 games. So now these next picks aren't as in depth as the first round because the first round's exactly what's happening starting tomorrow. I will do more in-depth videos as the rounds keep rolling in here on what's going on. But these ones are just what I think is going to go down here. So these are more quick picks, you know. Next, we have the Knights versus the Oilers. I don't think the Oilers will be able to upset the Golden Knights. I would have the Knights advancing to the third round, winning in 5 games. Holy, sorry, Edmonton. Next up, we have the Caps versus the Hurricanes. I think this would end up being a tight series, with the Caps maybe just squeezing through this one in 7 games. That's what the notes say, boys. The Leafs versus the Lightning. I actually like the Leafs odds against the Lightning. Most people have them counted out if they were to play the Lightning. Not me, puppy. We are taking the Leafs in 6. And this is not just me being biased, okay? I'm not being biased. Now, we have your conference finals. Oh, I messed up. Now we have your conference finals. You have your Caps versus your Jets. Oh, I fucked that up. We have your Cat. Oh my god, I almost fucked it up again. Jets versus Knights. I think the Jets will oddly dominate this series. The one everyone's expecting to be close just isn't. I'm going to take the Jets in 5. And then on the East, we have the Caps versus the Leafs. Everyone's anticipating an all-Canadian Stanley Cup rematch, but I think my Leafs go and screw that all up, losing to the Caps and losing like the Leafs do in Game 7. So we add our Caps to the finals, and whoa, we messed that up big time. I actually meant to put Jets. Sorry. Okay, there you go. Now your Stanley Cup Finals. Sorry, this is a little iffy today. Guys, it's my first time doing a big one like this, so just stay with me here. For our finals, we have I want to call them New Jersey Jets. That's crazy. Winnipeg Jets versus your Washington Capitals. Does Ovi win a cup the same year he breaks Gretzky's record, or does Lord Stanley finally return home to Canada after over 30 years? The last team to win the President's Trophy and the Cup was back in 2013. So to see the best 2 teams finish the regular season, also be the last 2 teams standing in the finals, would be pretty surreal. I do, however, think the Stanley Cup is returned to Canada after the Jets beat the Caps in an absolute monster of a series, bringing the Stanley Cup back home to Canada. Will be your Winnipeg Jets this year. Those are my predictions. Thank you for everyone that came out today. Thank you for supporting. And sorry if this is a little like all over the place. It's my first time. I talk with my hands too. I like to throw them around sometimes, but that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining, and we will see you guys we'll see you guys tomorrow actually for the first couple. I think there's 2 games tomorrow. So we're gonna have a short video tomorrow for the 2 games. We're gonna talk about it. See you guys then. Goodbye.